Hello everyone, and thank you so much for tuning in to ChasingCinema.com's official YouTube channel. Sorry for the delay. I know it's just been a really crazy week over here, but today I'm going to be doing my Week 4 update. I'll also be doing my Week 5 update back-to-back, so those both will be up. So make sure to go check out my Week 5 update right up here in the white eye. And you can see what I'm up to date on. Now I'm starting to catch up, so my apologies. Don't worry, I've been completing my movie challenge. I haven't missed a day, though I did miss a day of filming this week, so that's why I'm filming two today. So last Monday, or last week, I started to finish the Abbott and Costello Meet the Monsters collection. I started with Abbott and Costello Meet Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, the 1953 film, which of course stars Abbott and Costello and Boris Karloff. This was starting to kind of slow down the Abbott and Costello Meet the Monster series. I think this one is still enjoyable. I thought this movie still had a few good laughs and a few good references to the other films that they've already done. But it was definitely kind of starting to run out of steam. And though I think this film was good, I just don't think it was as great as and how much I enjoyed Dr. Jekyll. Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein. And the one previous as well. I just think this one really kind of lost. Not lost my total interest, but it was just kind of starting to slow down. But there was some really funny moments. I think there's still some really highlight moments where I would go back and revisit this when they're in the playhouse and they're kind of all playing cat and mouse, and they go on this wild goose chase. And then at the end, when the cops are looking for two Mr. Hydes, I think has a merit to it too. And then there's of course that scene where Costello is turned into a giant mouse, and that's kind of fun as well. But this was a movie that I think was still fun and still is kind of in the good portion of the Meet the Monsters franchise. The following night, I watched the new film from Disney, The Finest Hours, the Craig Gillespie film that talks about the biggest small boat rescue in Coast Guard history in 1952. Pretty much a very small boat that is only supposedly only supposed to hold 12, maximum 20, but regulations said 12. Held, I believe, 32 men in a rescue. Casey Affleck, Chris Pine, Ben Foster, Eric Bana. True story. And I reviewed this film. If you haven't seen my review, make sure to click that white eye. So I'm not going to talk about too much here, but I think it was an okay film. I think that overall it was good. It wasn't definitely like a January movie, so it was really nice to see this movie have some work to it. I think the number one out of this movie is Casey Affleck. I think he performs wonderfully. I think he's phenomenal in this movie. Eric Bana not so much. I think he really kind of struggled with the whole accent thing. But you could read more, you could see more of that in my review. Following day, I watched Abbott and Costello Meet the Mummy, which finished the Abbott and Costello Meet the Monsters collection that I picked up. And this one, I'm sorry to say, just felt so unattached. I was kind of saying it before, the other one was slowing down. This one is where I just felt like they were just done with it. Maybe Abbott and Costello had lost interest. Maybe they were just tired of doing the same shtick. Maybe they just didn't feel like they were worth putting forth the effort in 1955. But this movie really showed. And to be honest, it was a movie that I kept getting distracted from. It was easy for me to pick up something else or start paying attention to something else. I had to keep rewinding it and setting myself to it. I don't think it's an awful movie, but it definitely shows that they're not really into it anymore, and it just kind of lacks the fun. I mean, you look back at Frankenstein and then you look at Mummy, there's a major difference. And I'm still glad I watched it. I still think it's a good movie, but out of those four, it's definitely the weakest. The following night, after some confusion because I was going to see the midnight premiere of Kung Fu Panda 3, ended up not doing a midnight premiere for Kung Fu Panda 3 because they only were releasing it the day of. I went and saw Ip Man 3. Now, I've only seen Ip Man 1, so, and I know of Ip Man. Ip Man was the man that trained, or these movies are telling the story about the man who trained Bruce Lee. And Master Ip, who's this legend when it comes to... I can't remember the type of... you guys are going to be upset. The type of kung fu this is focused on. But forgive me. But anyway, this movie The big thing for this film, which is brand new release, is that it starred Mike Tyson, and I was like, oh, I don't know if this is gonna really work out. And their fight scene is actually really, really good. Like, it's actually a really good moment in the movie. I think the movie's good, though. Okay, so these movies are supposedly based on, this is based on a real person, and there's a lot of, I'm assuming in this movie there's a really true storyline about him and his wife, which I think is the best part of the film. I mean, it's really touching. Besides the action sequences where I think everyone goes to see Ip Man just take on 20 guys, him and his wife's relationship had a lot of emotion, and it was very real and raw, and I really enjoyed that part of it. But there's a lot of parts in the movie where I was just kind of having trouble believing were true. Now, I don't know the true story of Ip Man, and most of these stories could be very true, maybe a little bit exaggerated for film, obviously, which I'm sure they are. But to me, watching the movie, I had trouble believing certain things. And I'm not even saying that I had trouble believing, like, this didn't really happen. But even in the movie, I felt it was kind of too playful, too hard for me to even believe in that film, in that moment. And I think that kind of really speaks to this as well. But I want to go back and watch Ip Man 2. I loved Ip Man 1, and this is good too. I think him and Mike Tyson have this really, really great fighting sequence, and then there's the whole side plot line. There's a few plot lines going on in this movie about him and his wife, about him and Mike Tyson, and then there's this other gentleman who wants to take over the name and be the master of this type of kung fu, and it's finally that they go at it, and there's this really, really great action sequence. So, of course, a movie that I would really recommend. Yeah, a lot of fun. And then, yeah, that's right, the following day, I got to see KP3. And I was like, what's KP3? Why are you abbreviating Kung Fu Panda 3? No one ever calls that, but I called that. I call it KP3. And look, I loved Kung Fu Panda 1, but I really loved Kung Fu Panda 2. I thought they took it to a next level. I thought there was so much heart in it. I thought it really explored some pretty serious themes. Gary Oldman's character is very in-depth and very interesting, and very, full character. And Poe is growing up, and he's becoming more mature. And in this one, I was expecting a great movie, but maybe a little bit of a downshift. And I was completely wrong. These movies get better and better every single time I see them. And I would say Kung Fu Panda 3 is my favorite of the series. Beautiful animation, gorgeous colors and style, the way they present fights and the way they show flashbacks, or the way they just start with animation. It's breathtaking. These movies are beautiful to look at, and they are funny, they are creative, they have beautiful themes and messages. Yes, Mr. Chasing Cinema over here shed a few tears watching this movie. I'm never ashamed. I cried in the second one. I don't think I cried in the first one, but these movies really touch me, and they really kind of know how to really move me. I think they're beautiful. I think they're wonderful. I honestly would argue that these are the best movies that DreamWorks have ever made. Yes, over Shrek, and How to Train Your Dragon 2 is a good competitor, but Kung Fu Panda has consistently brought me really, really solid films. I honestly think it's the best thing they've ever made. What else about this movie? Well, I think that, movies that have wonderful messages and teach us something and have these characters who you could really invest in and care about. I mean, I really love Poe because I just feel like I'm a big panda myself, and I'm like, oh man, I could see myself doing that. Obviously, I hope to not think myself as so ditzy as Poe, but it's just like, man, how do you not love these characters? How do you not enjoy spending time with them and the beautiful world that they take you in? Really, really marvelous. I honestly would argue that Kung Fu Panda 3 is the best movie I've seen all year so far. I know it's way early, but thinking it's already early mid-February, I've seen, a decent amount of movies, and I think Kung Fu Panda 3 is my favorite of them all. The next day, I watched Jay and Silent Bob's Super Groovy cartoon movie. Big fan of Kevin Smith, though this isn't his movie necessarily. I mean, he wrote this film. It was directed by Steve Stark, and kind of this just really out there movie about superheroes and pop references, done in a cartoon, a really exaggerated cartoon where Jay and Silent Bob are becoming blunt man and chronic. It was fun. I think that, it really misses that Kevin Hart I'm sorry, Kevin Smith heart. You know, I do love me some Kevin Smith, but usually his films have a message and some heart to it. This one, I just think they went totally goofy and totally wacky, which is fine, but I don't think it's going to be very memorable for me. You know, I remember a few things, and just outrageous things, but I think if anything, I'm just remembering the references that I thought were really funny. But nothing too I mean, it was good, but even for a Kevin Smith fan, you know, it's not the most creative thing that they've produced, but I can see that I'm just having fun doing what they want to do. The animation was okay. I don't mean Chen and a lot of the friends of the Kevin Smith movies all make appearances here, but overall it was just okay. And then finally I watched The Overnight, a movie that I had been wanting to watch since I watched the movie Creep, which is also a Patrick Brice film. And everyone was telling me you need to watch The Overnight, which stars Adam Scott. Also has Jason Schwartzman, Taylor Schilling, and tells the story of this new couple that moves to California, and they set up a new play date. Their son meets someone at the park, and they set up a play date, and it's about these two couples' night together. And I really enjoyed this movie, and I don't think it's for everybody. I think it might be a little bit off for some people. But it's this movie that I think what Patrick Brice does that makes it so entertaining and fun is you feel like you know where they're going. Always. You always feel like, oh man, this is what's going to happen. There's a moment, there's a setup, and you go, I got the punchline. And you don't. You might be close, but you don't. And then you go, oh, okay. And then something else happens. You go, oh, that's why, because they're going to do this, and they don't. Patrick Brice is always one step ahead of you. And the night just becomes more mysterious and more mysterious. It's just about this crazy night about these two couples exploring, doing these things, learning about each other. And this whole time you're kind of unsure about Schwartzman and his wife, and you're not really sure of their intentions. And then, you feel for Adam Scott, and you see their relationship and their problems kind of come to a front. And there's so much to explore. And every time you're with them, you're expecting these things to happen. You're expecting these, I wouldn't say common things to happen, but you think you know where this movie's trying to go, and you don't. And I think that's a really, really powerful thing to kind of always make the audience go, oh, wow, I didn't see that coming, or oh, I was wrong, and just kind of get their hopes up towards something, and then just go, nope, you misinterpreted that. And it goes, oh, wow. And that happens a lot in this movie. I think it's very... I think it's driven by the performances from everyone in the film. It's a near 2-hour movie where you spend time with these characters and you're so interested in them, and you're just like, wow, what's going to happen? Where is this movie going? And you just kind of get invested in this huge, where is this night going? And it's a wonderful payoff. I think it's a really, really fun movie. I think Patrick Brice is a great director. He did this, and like I said, Creep, which is a movie I also really, really enjoyed. But yeah, if you've not seen this and you're a fan of Schwartzman or Adam Scott, I'd really check this out. I mean, this was a great, great movie. Again, not for everyone. A lot of sexual stuff, but not in the way that you would expect. I think that the whole time you're kind of expecting it to go this way when it goes, like I said, that way. And I don't want to say anything to spoil or to give away things or spoil anything, but it's a very, very interesting movie. That's going to wrap it up for week 4. Make sure to tune into my other video. Like I said, you click up here, and it's going to be come down. You'll be able to find my review for The Finest Hours, Kung Fu Panda 3, and week 5 update, so we can get fully caught up. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning into this video. My name is Jacob Tiranno, and please continue chasing cinema.